All right. Hello, everybody. We got a bunch of folks online, as well as some people here in the group who are still jumping on. We're going to be starting here shortly. We got, I'm just making sure, let me verify some sound real quick. It is going to be a little bit of an echo until I turn off this mix minus. Now let's try it. As well as some, all right, people. So that's going good. Let me route my audio back in here so I can hear directly. I hope y'all are all doing well. Happy Easter, happy Resurrection Day, all that good stuff. I hope y'all had, if y'all had service today, I hope it went well. I'm running into some issues, but that's with the editing stuff. It is so important to make sure that mics are unmuted during service because editing makes it hard when you have no audio. Let's see. I got dynamic off here. We got a few people here, and I can't control what y'all see on the live stream. Just realize, folks, here on the live stream, I am able to bring y'all's comments up and bring them in. So if everybody has anything, we got some people here. We got Lanny on here. We got the West Clan, Francisco, Roslyn, and the kids, Dominic, Brian. Steve chimed in, but he's hanging out with family, so he's watching online. So hello, Steve. We do have Carl, Dennis on the live stream. We got Pastor Rob just jumped in the room. And I'm going to stall for about 60 seconds, and then we're going to get started, folks. So for y'all who have never been a part of one of our roundtables, this is what we try and do every other. And we got Phyllis. Hello. We got, we try and do a roundtable every other week. And what this is really meant for is to talk about the good, the bad, the ugly, give some encouragement, give some praise reports about what we do in media ministry, no matter what city, state, country that you're in, whatever denomination, as long as we're talking about spreading the gospel of Jesus Christ, we look, whether you use personas, Behringer, Allen and Heath, whatever, the tech doesn't really matter. It's all about that we're unified in the purpose of what we're doing. And instead of it being a competition, we're trying to complement each other and we help out everybody where they need, whether that's a tutorial, whether that is just a pat on the back or encouragement. That's what this is. And if y'all have never been a part of media ministry, and most of the people who are watching this are on media ministry, you know that sometimes it can be very taxing, and especially this given Sunday, Easter, we normally got a lot of stuff that we got to do. We got some people who have made music videos, plays, all this other stuff going on. But everybody here in the group, I think I've stalled enough. Let's go around the horn and say hello to everybody. If you don't mind, if you're able to bring your camera on, go ahead and bring that up, because here on the live stream, it doesn't really show anything if you don't have your camera on here. But let's see. Pastor Rob, how you doing today, sir?
Doing well, doing well. God is good. He got up this morning so I could get up too.
All
All is
right.
well in Chesapeake.
Look, I saw what you see. You see my keyboard back there. You know, I ain't got it rolled out here. I can't plug it in to give you your A flat.
Man, I was waiting for it. I saw it. I was hoping it would magically just hit it, but you know what? Sometimes we have to go without a musician.
Yeah. All right. Lanny, how you doing? I see you unmuted. We can't hear nothing. We'll come back to you. Francisco, the Wests, how are y'all doing? All right, we move on. Oh, there you go.
Doing well. Just got my hands full right now.
Understood.
So
Understood.
I'll just
Dominic. Awesome. Dominic, what's going on there in the Tidewater area?
Man, I'm tired. I've done 10 services since Palm Sunday.
Oh, that's
And
it?
yeah, that's it. That's it. I mean, that's not a lot. You know what I mean? It's not a lot. And I had to install some cameras and a sound system as well. So it's been a long week. They the church that I did it for, they streamed today. Audio was clear, video was clear. I'm very happy. So just got two more things to do tomorrow, and that job is done. But other than that, man, I'm good, man. I have my keyboard here, but mine's in the bag. I'm not hitting no A flat, man. I'm a C sharp kind of guy.
Now I'm gonna throw this out here for the musicians. I know this is off. This is off cuff. This is something I recently experienced. What do you do when the song is in 4/4 and then they randomly bless you with a Holy Ghost 3/4 out of the blue?
I hold the note. I sure
You know,
do.
was it like, now again, I was raised Baptist. I was there. Does anybody remember having that deacon that would lead Bible study, who would start a song and forget about the whole measure and just go right into the song again?
Yeah.
Forget letting the measure resolve out. Like,
Yeah.
man, the heck with this. I'm just feeling it, man. I'm feeling it so much that, like, the heck with all time signatures, key signatures. I mean, we just doing this thing.
Every song was a meter hymn.
Oh
That's
my gosh.
that's where the drummer just hit the hi-hat. He just hit the hi-hat.
Yep.
No drum, no snare. You just hit the hi-hat till everybody felt.
See, now I'm not trying to take over this, but now forget about the hi-hat and the drums. How many people broke out that washboard and that spoon?
We actually have a lady in our church that has a washboard that plays the washboard.
Oh, that glory. It ain't nothing like that rat-a-tat-tat.
Hey, it's like scratching up and down a chalkboard.
All right, Brian Jones, how are you doing, sir?
Hey, what's going on, everyone? I am recovering. We had a play in service today. It was blessed. Everything went well, but you know how it is with preparation and just energy. So after the fact, it's like, all right, I'm good now. We're done. So,
Hey,
but all is well. All is well.
that's good. All right, Lanny, how's everything in your neck of the woods? I mean, you're still muted. I can hear you. I mean, I can see you. Can't hear you though. Yeah, I don't. We'll come back to you because I still can't hear anything that you got on here. Let me unpin myself. Yeah, we still can't hear you. We'll come back to you, sir. Terrence, what is going on?
Going okay. I didn't do 10 services like Dominic. I end up with 6 this week,
Mm,
with change as soon as the services started
wow.
on the fly.
Don't you
So
just
I was
love that?
glad I had my second laptop. I could fix some stuff with it and then send it over by Chrome Remote Desktop.
Mm. Man, it is so much fun. And I'm trying to stall so I can have both of my screens up so I can actually see what everybody is doing and seeing who's jumping on here. Tara's online. Hello, hello. Steve, hello again. I see you on there. Cody Lewis. Let me see. I can bring up their comment. And let's switch over to number 4. No, hold on. My screen got switched. Hold on. I gotta do this way. Hold on, folks. My apologies. I had my wheel set up, but that screen, I can't show both at the same time. And man, you know what? I'm just gonna have to bring this over here and do this a different way. Well, Cody is saying here, watching again as a fellow media pastor, I think you guys doing this is phenomenal. It's awesome to connect with others who face the same issues and keep the same mission. Keep up the good work. So awesome. Mr. Clarence, what is going on with you?
Just forever the tech nerd, trying to keep the jailing side up.
Awesome. Scott, how are you doing? How's things in your neck of the woods? All right, we'll loop back for some of y'all here. All right, Lanny, get you. I still can't hear you. I don't know what's going on. Well, we'll circle back to y'all. Let me see. I need to get this straight so y'all can see what's going on. But while I'm trying to fix some technical stuff here, anybody got some? Let's start it off on the positive. Anybody got some praise reports, some awesome stuff that y'all had going on with y'all's Easter service, or anything else that's going on in your local ministry? Anybody can chime in. All right, and I think, all right, yes, I do have my stuff here, and this goes for anybody that's on the live stream as well too. So let me bring up that comment that we were talking about here, and that's what I said. Cody Lewis was saying that. So pat yourselves on the back, folks. Y'all are doing an excellent job. Everybody online as well too. I want to give y'all a big shout out. All right, so Dean is on here. Saying hello, and Dean actually got a question. We can start this off this way. Dean wants to know, do you think churches will adopt Claude for co-work and Paperclip to handle tasks for running parts of the church? So I think, Brian, I saw you unmute. I was getting ready to ask you what you thought about that.
Ironic that you asked that, Dave, because I was just typing up some notes regarding my pre-service and post-service workflow that uses Claude and some other automation. So what I'll do is I'll give you the overview, the 40K view. So pre-service, during the week when a pastor is actually preparing a sermon or whatnot, we have them submit their information via Google form, which is stored in Google Sheets. And then what we have is this service code. We use a relay.app that in turn sends a formatted email to the media account so we can copy and paste. And then it creates a data file that I use for cloud automation. Within this file, it includes the preacher name, the scripture, title, the sermon points, or whatnot. Now, post-service, I use the sermon audio file, extract that, upload it to a staging directory. The staging directory contains the the data file I just mentioned, and the MP3 file. I use Zapier to listen for audio file or to watch for audio file. It in turn sends that audio file to assembly.ai. Assembly.ai transcribes it, saves the transcription to a staging directory. Then I use Claude in order to process it. So that's how I generate ideas for Facebook, for Instagram. It gives me a customized Notebook LM prompt that I can use to generate a podcast. It generates the YouTube video description with the timestamps, with the applicable sermon points. So it saves me, I would say, easily 5 hours. So I'm using Claude Code. I developed it in Claude, but I've migrated to Cowork as a project. So works for me. Didn't hear you, AJ.
Yeah, I was saying, I thought you just stopped because I was talking, but I didn't realize I was on mute. So I was saying, I was just saying okay to what you were saying, like an agreement, and then it just stopped. So I was like, I didn't know if that was me or something that stopped the whole conversation. But
It's
I mean,
the only
that's
thing I
cool.
pay for out of all that is just Claude. Everything else is free.
Sweet. So again, I mean, I think a lot of people brought this up about maybe discussing our workflows. And again, it's open to discussion. We kind of want to have one topic, but again, we have no issue with veering off into a different conversation. Because before we were starting, I was talking about the same thing of like right now, we did it at Antioch. They did an Easter play today, but I'm trying to edit it. But it was difficult because some of the times it was like not unmuting the mic in time, or sometimes the actors, their hip pack was not unmuted at all. So it's kind of hard to like, how can I post this if it's just complete silence? Or it'll be the wrong pack was unmuted. So we're hearing people getting dressed and changing mics in the back. So you're hearing that and you can't see the other person. So what I've done in certain situations, I need to get somebody to give me a now let me preface this. Do not do this unless you have permission to do this. What I had to do with this and using some of these AI tools, I had sampled somebody's voice because like when we were doing the announcements, the person kept veering away from the mic, so I would miss the very first word that they said and the last word. So I had enough of a recording that I sampled them and duplicated their voice, and then I knew what they were going to say is for a script. So I literally just put the first word and the last word of everything that they were saying just as a filler. So I had to do that for that. So I may have to do this with the play. The only thing is some of the people who are talking, they only talk once. So it's kind of hard to simulate that. Anybody else that uses AI, and I'm gonna come back to you, Brian, because again, a lot of people are still getting into this and they're like we're giving examples of using AI, but want to give some other examples. How do y'all use that? And even if you don't use AI, that's fine. Want to know like, what is your workflow on what are you doing? Ooh, excuse me. I was thought it was going to come out after. How y'all use that in your workflow? Anybody? Any other thoughts of what y'all are doing?
Yeah, I could share what I've done.
Okay.
I like for I do like a weekly newsletter. So I use since I get this source from YouTube, I would use Notebook, Google Notebook LM, put it through there just to give me a transcript. And then I take the transcript and I created like a generator through Claude, and I paste that transcript in there of the sermon, and it gives me a devotion, the title, email title, preview text. That's a mess. So I pretty much do everything that I need to run it back into MailChimp and through Glue for text messaging on Fridays. So I kind of use that to kind of save me hours of time doing it.
Now, with your newsletter, what are you using? Is it just text? Or are you doing graphics? What is that being created?
I do graphics.
So is it tied into like the Canva hookup? Because Canva can be hooked up to most of these AI prompts.
I just do it manually. I
Okay.
just created a template and then I just duplicate it. And within that generator, I will add a mid-journey prompt, and I'll go through mid-journey and just look for some images that relates to the devotion and put that into MailChimp. And then I just schedule it every Friday with a text message.
Cool. Now, for everybody who did not know, and I am so thankful for this, y'all do know OpenAI shut down Sora. I'm excited about that because the AI slop like on Facebook and stuff. I am so glad that there's one less tool out there because that stuff be getting on my nerves. But I don't know. I mean, yes, it's a tool that can be used for good reasons, but some of that stuff, I'm like, how many more fake exploding package videos do you need to see on somebody's front steps? I don't know. Anybody else? What else y'all got going on? How your workflow or a praise report of what's going on or something that you want to shout out? Maybe you want to shout out your team or something. And again, I am looking at the comments as well too. So if y'all have a question here on the stream, let us know. We can circle it back so everybody else can respond to that one as well too.
So I have a comment, when you talk about what Brian's doing and what Dominic's doing, it's one of those things that, your ministry has revolutionaries, right? You have people that are gonna, step out and embed or bring forth technology that will help the ministry. And we know that sometimes, not all churches, but a lot of your churches have a hard time changing, and they want to continue to do what they've been doing because they feel it's working. But my thing is it working effortlessly, or is it working for you? Or is it just working to get you by? I'm dealing with this one church right now where you've got two sides. You've got an older side, and then you got a technology driven side, and the older side is having a hard time embracing technology. And their comment is, why do we need this stuff? I mean, we're doing fine. Well, you're just getting by. That's what's happening, and then, with the change in Facebook, deleting videos after 30 days and that kind of nonsense, they started getting scared because how are our members going to see this stuff? I said, well, we have YouTube, and YouTube will keep the stuff forever. So now we're trying to bridge that gap to get them over from Facebook to YouTube, and then, have them just, if you want to put shorts out on Facebook so people will be able to see, snippets of the service. So, I mean, it's this great divide, right? It's almost like trying to get the church across the Red Sea. Everybody's at the Red Sea complaining, oh my God, Pharaoh's behind us, the water's in front of us. But then when we open the water for you to go through, you still want to go back to Egypt. So I applaud Brian and Dominique, for using the tools. I mean, we see it in the corporate role, right? And on my job, AI is the thing. How can we structure our environment to help, to complement what you're doing, not replace? Because when you start talking about AI, people are saying, oh my God, it's going to take over and I'm not going to have a job. But don't forget, and I tell people, AI was put there to complement. And we've got so many tools out there now, right? And just like Sora being removed, you're going to start seeing a lot of these AI functions being removed because it's too much, and they're trying to narrow it down to see what people are really using. So kudos to Dominique and to Brian, for your forward thinking. And it's my prayer that churches will start thinking forward too. You're muted again.
Sorry. Thank you for that. I was going to say I want to bring up something that Carl says. And do I got the right screen? Yes, I do. He says, we use AI for images that anchor the sermon somehow. Sometimes I have created an image or loop for those, but I don't always have the time. I can go into more detail. Feel free to ask. Yeah, I mean, I know Rakir has been using that a lot to make the thumbnails and tie into Pastor Paul's sermon. I know Pastor Paul does a lot of that stuff as well, too. When I do the newsroom, if I don't have anything, I'll do generation of images or something like that, or videos to kind of complement the newsroom and stuff like that as well, if I don't have enough time to get out with the drone or find something to do something as well, too. So let me tying into something that you said, Pastor Rob. Let's pivot from the tech to the person. How do we? And I'm kind of dealing with this as well too. So please, anybody need your input on this, and this is for everybody online as well too. How do you get somebody to recognize that has a lackadaisical attitude about their task? How do you convey the importance of their task so that either they realize it's important and they step up what they're doing, or they step down and get out the way? The reason I say that is, like, sometimes, like, say that you're in service and you have a front-facing camera and a back-facing camera, and the pastor wants to say, hey, we want to pray over this family because they've had some issues in their family. And you miss the opportunity of having the camera point at them. You might not thinking that's something big, but then, God forbid, that next week, that person is no longer there. God decided to say, hey, your mission is over. Come on back home. Something like that. To where you don't think at the moment, you don't think it's important. But then after the fact, it's like, ooh. I mean, let me rephrase the question. How do y'all take ownership? How does that ownership feel to y'all? When you're doing what you need to do, whether it be music, media, camera, sound, whatever, do you feel that that's like a personal responsibility? Do you kind of give yourself a little bit too much grace and not give yourself accountability? I hope I can convey what I'm trying to ask. Anybody, any thoughts on that or concern about that?
Well, personally, I try and treat every live stream as if there's a person on the other side that may not see tomorrow. So if they don't see tomorrow and they're taking their time in order to watch this live stream, I'm going to make sure it's the best it can be.
Great. Anybody else? Any thoughts? How y'all?
So Brian, I was hoping you would go a little deeper into that, because there's context under what you just said, right?
Well, from a personal aspect, I recall like 3 or 4 years ago, my grandmother was in the hospital. She was a church-going woman from Alabama. I mean, every Sunday she was there. So I kind of take it to heart as far as, okay, someone else's grandmother, someone else's loved one is perhaps in the hospital. They can't go to church, so they're relying upon a live stream in order to get their word. So it's my job to make sure they get it without distractions so they can be blessed.
And that is called what? The M word. What is the M word?
Missionary.
Is another M word that goes with
All right.
that. Ministry.
Mindfulness, ministry.
Ministry. So you're doing it because, and ministry and missionary, they tag, and they're the same, right? They're together in that group. And I was telling the director of Sunday school today before the service, as we were talking, he was asking me all these questions. And I said, until some of these ministries are considered ministries, we say media ministry, we say audio ministry, we say, and of course, live stream falls under the media ministry. but is it really being looked at as media? I mean, as ministry? Or is it just being looked at as, oh, I got to go and do this morning and I'm going to do the best I can, or I'm going to do, I'm not getting paid for this. And some folks aren't getting paid. So, you get what you pay for. When does this actually become ministry? I know we know it's ministry, but until a church and a whole, not all churches, because I do believe some churches do define it as ministry. And then when you define it as ministry, you put responsibilities. You're responsible for this. This is the ministry, and this is what we're responsible for. And we want to make sure that you understand that this is ministry. It's touching people, and how are you going to touch the people? Jesus said something in Matthew 25:40. He said, I tell you, whatever you did for one of the least of these brothers and sisters of mine, you did for me. That should be a mission for all of the media ministries, because you're doing this for others, but yet you're doing it, and Jesus is saying you're doing it for me. It's not for you. You might have some, as they say, skin in the game, because like Brother Jones said, he's doing it because of what he said. But you Dominic is crazy. But you got to you got to be able, you got to feel it. You got to know that you got to do it from your heart. But I do think, and we've talked about this, that media ministry is just, it's just another thing. It's just, it costs money. They always want stuff, and all we're getting out of it is a live stream and maybe some lower thirds, and that's about it. So it's got to be taken as a missionary ministry, because it's a missionary, because you're going out, you're doing the Great Commission, even though you're doing it behind the stream. That stream is touching a lot of people. So I think the church has to recognize it and build it into their ministry SOPs as a real ministry in their constitution and bylaws. Everything else is in there, but I have not yet seen anything in there about media ministry and constitution and bylaws, the ones I've seen yet. So that's my thought on it.
So we got a bunch of people's comments in here. So I'm a backtrack just a little bit to catch up to where we are, because I know Dean was talking about, and actually let me bring this up so everybody can see it as well too. Dean was saying we shouldn't forget when the internet just came in and businesses suffered because they didn't go online, and it seems like that is the same situation now. You would have thought churches would get with the program, but they're still doing that. Other thing that was said is from Creative for Fun. What she does is she takes the pastor's message and the speaker's message and turns it into a kid's book for the kids, to being able to break it down for the other generations. We don't want to ignore any of the generations in the church. Also, Rod was saying, I need answers on that, talking about the AI, because it's hard to keep up with service when you're running the presentation computer. Completely agree. Now, tying into what we were talking about, attitudes and responsibility and laziness, Carl was saying, I will call them on their attitude or laziness. If they're still learning, I give chances, sometimes a lot of chances. And he was saying that he had a sound volunteer who decided that he wanted to mix at 105 decibels, and he wasn't talented enough that it sounded good at 90 decibels. We had multiple talks. Then, unfortunately, we saying that he didn't get called to serve anymore. So now I'm gonna take a break from that, because I was kind of saying the same thing to my daughter when we were driving back from church. And I think maybe this might be a good controversial turn of our conversation. I told her the good and bad thing about church is that we're welcoming to everybody. But that welcoming attitude gives personally too much grace that wouldn't be satisfactory in the work environment. And it's not that we're trying to push everybody off, but sometimes you got to call a spade a spade. Hey, baby, I understand you got a lot of dedication, but you're singing soprano, and you is a no-prano. Like, you need to be in the crowd. Like, I mean, that's a joyful noise. Hey, sing it unto the Lord, not unto me. Sometimes it's like, it's not trying to be mean, but sometimes it's like, hey, are we trying to grow everybody, or we're trying to tell everybody and give people false hope, saying, "Oh, girl, you sound good." Why you tell her you sound good? She sounded good. She didn't. That's not being honest with people. What y'all say about that? Do we give too much grace? Meaning the grace of like, hey, you're lax on your responsibilities, and we keep giving you grace when that would have got you fired if it was in corporate America. And that's for everybody online as well too. Let's see.
So in corporate America, I can talk on that because and others might be in corporate America, but I am in corporate America. You're required to take training quarterly to help keep you updated on what the latest standards are. Do we do that in the church? Not a lot of churches do that. And it's our fault, because we're to and scripture talks about building up. We're supposed to build people up. How are you going to build people up when you're not pouring into them? And we have a lackadaisical methodology, where we say whosoever will, let them come. But of course that's not in the Bible, but that's what we imply. Come as you are. Well, actually, come as you are, I meant to say, come as you are, come as you are. But they come as they are, but they never get where they need to be. I'm not trying to preach. I'm just, and
Yeah, you is. Go for it.
I mean, it's true. I mean, even the people around that follow Jesus, they were learning as they were following him, and he was pouring into them, but we bring people in and then they stay expecting to be poured into. And then and I'm seeing it firsthand, they come in, we welcoming in the beginning, oh, we love you. And then they get lost. And next thing you know, they're out the door, and then we don't even know they're gone until we say, oh, haven't seen so-and-so in a while. So that right there, there needs to be some type of process wrapped around. And I love it at Antioch because I get messages from Pastor Paul. I got a coffee cup. I got a whole bunch of stuff. I mean, and even though I don't come a lot, when I do come, they are still loving and warming and stuff like that. And they make you feel a part. People are looking to be part of a community. And how do you do that? You keep people, and that's another thing we need to do, revisit how we treat our visitors. And how do we keep up with them so they don't get lost? But your question was, bring somebody in and they're not growing. We all need to grow. How do you get them to grow? You get them involved. And if that's not their niche, you find out that's not their niche, you find something else for them instead of just cutting them off and say, well, you can't do this no more. The lady that's singing, that's giving her best, maybe, she might need to be in a mass choir, instead of an ensemble or a praise team.
With no solos either.
With no solos, right?
Yeah, and let me actually tie in Tara something that she says as well too, and it kind of shows the opposite of that, but the importance of that. She said that she's had members text her and say that when they're at home, they feel like they're at the service because of the camera views and the transitions, and it just shows just how important something that locally you might not think is that important, it actually is strengthening and giving people a sense that, again, we have to develop more of sympathy and empathy, meaning that, yeah, you don't think it's a big deal that when pastor is, congratulating the new couple that just got married in the church, and I'm watching at home and I'm like, well, I want to see who that is. Not thinking like, oh, that's not, because I still have people say this, well, if you want to see, you should have been at the church. And I said, that's a stupid attitude to still have that mindset of, no, we're going to hold off because we think you should be physically in the church, but we're going to tease you. We're going to give you a less than because this is what we think you should be. And it's amazing that there's still people that have that type of mindset. It has nothing to do with I think that we should be willing to give, whether I mean, it's just like the widow's mite. Like, okay, are we only going to congratulate and celebrate those that are able to drop $1 million in the basket, and we treat people less if all they can offer is a penny? Well, they don't make the penny anymore. A nickel, something like that. I think the idea is like we need to be able to be willing to give to everybody, no matter what state they are. Because again, it could be, hey, I'm not at service Saturday, Sunday, whatever day you have service, because I have to work 2 jobs to make ends meet. So you're going to punish me because, okay, salvation or paying the bills. You're making people decide between something that I don't think they really should. I don't know. Let me see. Let me get through some other comments so everybody sees what's going on. Tara also says, so that helps to reassure that I'm doing well, but I do write down things I need to improve, which is awesome. And JWG Murphy said, I just jumped in, but this seems to flow with a conversation that I had with the head of AV at my new church. There's a difference between serving in the need of the church versus your purpose. Completely agree. Creative for fun. I'm constantly trying to engage the folks at home with QR scans. They're always surprised when they get an immediate response back from us or hear their name called out during prayer, which is a way of tying people in as well. So I'm just reading through these. So I don't know if some of these are directed me or not, but look at it like this. When you open a McDonald's franchise, they have a school you got to go to learn, and teaches you, to run a Mickey D's for the burgers and this, to be certain of a way of a menu. And that person that couldn't sing should be auditioned to make sure. See, man, I'm gonna leave that one alone because I mean, you start throwing the audition word up. Some churches, man, think you tried to burn the place down. But I mean, I do know some churches like you. I remember trying to be a musician at one church, and they had me audition to play. And I was like, wow. I mean, I could understand that to a certain extent, but just to be a fill-in musician, I'm like, oh, wow. Okay. And then Tara's also saying, I think we give more grace in church because of our heart is for God, which again, I completely agree. But then also there's a little danger that sometimes our grace is getting in the way of the lesson that some people need to learn. If we always running in trying to rescue, at least that's my personal opinion. I don't have a scripture to back that, but I just feel that sometimes if you're always rescuing everybody, sometimes you're robbing people of the lesson that they need to learn. At least that's how I felt it was in my life. And then Charles also saying, I agree with Pastor Rod. We should help them find where they can thrive. And it looks like we got a lot of collaboration with people sharing their knowledge out there. Awesome. That's what the community is for. Any other comments on some of these things? And because we can always go back to the praise reports and all the other fun stuff that everybody's got going on in their local ministry. If you're not a part of the Facebook group, folks, I highly recommend you join that. That's how you can get all the information to be a part of these calls. Also, today we have a thread out there that you can post and share your Easter service so that we can get inspiration, see what people are doing out there so we can learn from each other. Only post it in that thread, please, because if you post it anywhere else, it will be deleted. But let's see. I think for me, let's circle back to a comment that somebody said. I really believe for the AI standpoint, I think that we're really missing out. The church is really missing out on an opportunity to, find viable options for succession planning and future growth by not investing locally. So again, for me, I'm on a mission right now that when I go to choir rehearsal, I'm always there an hour early. And some kids sit on there and play on the drums and play on the piano. Anybody who knows music knows the difference between kids just trying to bang on the instrument or those that have an interest, but they need to be mentored. So for me, I'll see kids to get in there, and some other people who are not in the music ministry try and tell them to get off the instruments. I was like, no. First off, don't do that. This ain't your ministry. You ain't got no power and authority to tell somebody to do this, this, and this. They all right. Let them go. Because the reason I say that is that's how I was. I used to just take out my Casio keyboard and sit down in front of it, record Inspector Gadget on the VCR and play it back over and over again until I can play the intro. That's how I did my stuff. And when I see other kids doing that, we need to invest in that. Why do I say all of this? All of these opportunities with AI, video editing, cameras, audio, these are valuable traits that can be used outside of the church. And I really think that if we focus on using these tools and produce them in a way that is palatable to show them that, yes, these skills are valuable inside the church, but they can be used other places. I really think that if we can address people and find what their interest is instead of immediately trying to cram them into a ministry, you might get a whole lot more volunteers by going in that route. I see. So I was saying, I see some people are trying to say that AI is the Antichrist. I'm like, they said that about everything. Most of the time, the easiest thing that people say, call everything the Antichrist that they don't understand. But I've heard that too. Let me see. Any other comments, Mr. Clarence?
Yeah, I have one, a short one about AI. Pardon me.
Mm-hmm.
We have a member of our team who schedules ensembles and solos on a monthly and up to a quarterly basis. So she developed an AI routine that tracks who's scheduled to be a part of the service on any one day. And they all know that they have a schedule. So it starts with 2 weeks before their scheduled appearance in the service, making sure that their selections are in the possession of the musicians, and if they get within 3 days or 2 days of the service, then they're warned that you're subject to being removed from the service. So it constantly tracks people's progress on keeping up with the schedule, and the it seems to have been working out okay for the last couple of months.
Okay.
A good use of AI.
Cool. Let me give a big shout out here to Carl. Carl was saying Friday we had a concert releasing the first 100 songs written and published by our pastor. It was exhausting on the tech side, but fun and rewarding. Thankful it went well. That's awesome. Dean one said, tell me I didn't have a Casio CV101. I can't even remember the model. And I think I forgot how that thing broke. And just going back to that comment that Dean and Creator for Fun have said, which I completely agree with, it was saying, I was always taught that you can say anything to people, it's just how you say it. Do it with love or ask ChatGPT how to say it. I was always taught as well, too, a different way of saying that same thing. You can be right, but at the wrong volume. And again, you just got to be mindful of how you say stuff to people as well, which I completely agree. But then I also don't agree with lying to people and telling them that they're great at something and you're setting them up for failure. I don't believe in doing that. And you have to have some very good people skills to be able to communicate that. First off, it starts with a relationship. Giving somebody a critique without giving somebody advice that wasn't asked for is a criticism. You know, nobody's going to do that unless you have some type of relationship so that people can understand that, where you're coming from. JWG Murphy saying the definition of a volunteer needs to be clearly outlined. Some people want to do bare minimum volunteering and others want to build value. You mix that with compensated employees at the church it can be a bad mix. I have to completely agree. And we got a couple of people. Otis just jumped on, and we also have Bethel Baptist from Columbus, Indiana. Hello, hello.
Can I
So
make a
any
comment on that?
Yes, sir.
So, and I totally agree with the brother that talked about mixing, volunteer with the compensated folks. But once again, most volunteers don't get a clear understanding about what their role is. And even most compensated folks don't get that either. And once again, that's where it comes in, and this is the church administration side coming out of me. That's where um, SOPs come in. And then another thing is, just because you're a volunteer, if there's anybody on the stream or in the chat that are volunteering to do this stuff, doesn't mean that the brunt of the work gets thrown on the volunteers and the volunteers don't get no support. That's how you lose volunteers, because you come from being volunteered to voluntold. So we got to do a better job as leaders in the church to structure a program that helps our volunteers so they want to keep volunteering, not just continuing throwing stuff at them. Oh, they're not paid, so we'll let them do all the work while the paid folks are sitting back telling the volunteers what to do. No, everybody should be in this together. And we being many are one. That's what the Bible says. And we have to, even the volunteers, whether they're compensated or not compensated, they need to understand that they're part of the whole. And, we got to get better at that. So I just thought I would comment on that question, because he is absolutely right.
Completely
Well, that's
agree.
where I'm standing in agreement with you, because that's exactly what we do at our church. We work, I'm compensated, but I also work with volunteers, and I treat everyone the same. If you're a volunteer or if you're paid, we're all working together because we're supposed to do unto others as we have others do unto us. And the ultimate purpose for us to be in the church is to be a servant and to learn what God has in store for us. So we try and operate with that principle. I mean, we have volunteers from the age of 10 to 80. So a broad range of individuals, a broad range of perspectives, but everyone's equal and everyone has the opportunity to serve. Now, if we actually have individuals in our ministry that perhaps aren't doing what they need to do, they're gradually weeded out. But it's they weed themselves out because they're no longer assigned to specific tasks, and they just find themselves on the outskirts. But just standing in agreement with you, Pastor Rob, in the respect of, we treat them with respect, we give them accountability and an assignment, and then they tell us how much they want to grow with us by their actions.
And don't burn them out. I mean, because volunteers get burned out, because once again, you're voluntold, and then you get all this stuff on you, and then you get into it and realize I didn't sign up for all of this.
Oh yeah, exactly.
If
you actually, I hate to interrupt. No, go for it.
No, go ahead.
I was just going to again agree with you in the fact that we have a rotation. So if it's a volunteer, I try not to assign them 2 weeks in a row. Like, you get a break, you get a chance to do other things, you get a chance to go to another ministry. Just because you work in media doesn't mean you can't sing. I mean, you can actually branch off and do whatever you want to do. We just ask that when you're here with us, you do what we ask you to do, and just stand in alignment with us.
And I was in teaching Sunday school, and the lady told me, she said, "Hey, I really wish I could be in this Sunday school." She says, "I can't because I'm doing something else." So once again, layering responsibilities on people so they can't enjoy the message one Sunday, so they can't enjoy Sunday school because they're too busy. They're always on the clock, or the proverbial clock. And we have to as leaders, we have to make room for these people to grow and not keep them, excluded from what's going on in the church. And as you said, Brother Brian, rotation, and if the folks are rotated out and the new folks that come in that's rotating in don't do as good a job as the folks that's always been doing it, well, that's where training comes in, and we just can't. Volunteerism has become an inclusive society because we get people in there who we know and who we want, and we know they're going to do a great job, and we don't give anybody else a chance to do anything. So I agree with you 100%. And we need that as an area. And I see Lanny put in the chat, SOPs are great. It helps with people saying whose responsibilities for that. And I agree. You can't tell me what I'm supposed to do when I don't know what I'm supposed to do, and you don't know. You just think you know what I'm supposed to do.
Yeah. Now, see, for y'all who've never been a part of these, sometimes I don't want to do this because I'll have something's going on, and then I reluctantly start the roundtable, and then magically there's somebody else that's going through the same thing, and then the whole conversation is like everybody's like, man, we're experiencing that same thing. And I'm having one of those moments because I was getting ready to pivot this conversation, but then Dean actually said the same thing that I was thinking about. So I think we're in alignment. So the question is for everybody. Dean wants to know, I have a serious question. What do you think it takes to get people in the church today, especially young folks? I'm going to save my answer to the end, but want to put that out there for everybody, especially inside the chat as well too. What do y'all think? What do you think it takes to get people in the church today, especially young folks? If nobody has a comment, I will jump in.
Well, I mean, I don't want to be the one doing all the talking, but we have to find an avenue for them to come in. And, you know, church has been church for over 2,000 years. And young people are attracted to things that they can relate to on their level. And it's about the preaching, it's about the teaching, and that's the age-old question. How do we get the young, because the young people are the future, you know? And then when we get them in there, how do we keep them? And that is the bigger question. You get them in there, how do you keep them? And keep them from running out because something was said, somebody didn't like the way they were dressing, their hair wasn't like everybody else's hair. Because we are our own worst enemy. You know, we run people away because they don't look like us and they don't act like us. Maybe the kids don't want to run around and shout. I was in church from a young age, and I was in Sunday school. I went to what is it? The what do they do in the summer with the Bible study?
Vacation Bible School.
I went to Vacation Bible School. So I was in the church, and it was exciting because they had us do stuff, you know, like at our church, the kids sing every third Sunday. So, I mean, it's a plethora of kids up there. So you got to start them young and get them in the church and get them used to being in church. And that would be a good question for the West. I mean, they have kids. How do they keep their kids interested in church? You know, and our bishop said something today that kind of struck me kind of funny. Because it's just not like that today. You know, he's like, if you got a child in your house, you need to make them come to church. That is the worst thing you can, I mean, in so much, if they're a younger child, you can make them do that, but that turns them away from church. Give them hey, come on to church, you know, and let's get you involved in church, you know, with all these bells and whistles, media, cameras, everything that's going on. Find something that keeps them involved and they'll want to come. So that's my thought on it.
And see, and that's the reason I didn't open my mouth, because we got centered heart on some stuff. Well, actually, hold on. Before I say something, Francisco, y'all were called out. So do you want to address something that Pastor Rob said?
Yeah, I'll talk about that. You know, our kids are young right now. So what we do is that we include them as far as in our ministry. My wife, like if we're doing like for like a month, we'll have a certain subject. And so before the service or during the middle of the service, my wife would, actually before the service, we'll draw up like a cartoon character or like not a cartoon character, but like a coloring book and have scriptures and stuff like that tying in to what's being said. And so at the end of service, we'll ask our daughter, well, of course, my oldest one, we'll say, well, what is this? Like we're talking about creation. And so who created the heaven and earth? God did. And so we include them in the worship experience. Again, our kids are just 4 and 2 and 7 months. So they're still young at this point. But right now, we're just trying to engage them into worship. Now, today we went to a ministry I came from. We went to their resurrection service. And one thing my wife is, you know, everyone's different. Every parent is different. But during worship, she does not want our kids on the tablet, during the worship service and stuff like that. So, we'll see other kids. I understand why, your kids are wild up and wild and all that kind of stuff. And I've got one of those too. So, and to keep them quiet. But, at a certain point, you have to ask God to give you wisdom on what you should do with your kids. You know your kids. And like I said, with my daughter, you give her a coloring book and, a story about David or both of them. Right now, they've watched David literally. I'm tired of watching David. But they will watch that thing like literally. It's like an hour and a half. They will stop and they'll turn around. Can you play David again? I'm like, I'm tired of seeing Goliath. I'm tired of seeing this, but we include them in the worship experience.
Awesome. Scott?
Yeah. One thing we did at our church, we noticed we had a hard time keeping, like, after high school, they'd go to college or go off. And then when they got done with college, if they stayed in the area, they wouldn't come to church or they go to another church. One thing we did was trying to improve more like relationships with them is we did away with our high school class, Sunday school class. And we have all of our adult classes we don't do them by age anymore. They're all done by just topics. And so we've included from high school up in all the Sunday school classes so that they get to feel part of they're not kind of separated from the adults in the church. They get to kind of bond a little more with them and have more relationships with that. Because I think that's the biggest thing is developing relationships. When somebody comes in, being genuine, being accepting of where they are, and just forming the relationship, knowing that you care about them and want to help them or want to do life together. So, but the Sunday school thing just helped us just kind of form relationships between some of the younger kids and the older adults that were usually separated in classrooms and in other areas.
Awesome. I'm going to jump into some of the comments that people have said. Carl was saying, on a more serious note, authenticity. Activity doesn't matter without authenticity. And the young people, my kids, crave authentic engagement. Let me see whatever that ones is. And then Cody was saying, I think the younger generations want simplicity, QR codes, NFC, tap tags, etc. I also agree with the guest that mentioned the kids. Young parents want their kids involved and ministered to. Now, kind of what everybody was saying, that's what I feel. And again, I am nowhere close to being a perfectionist or got this thing mastered. I'm learning just like everybody else. Like with me, when my daughter is here, I try to actively, outside of church, at home, I try and build a bridge in between what the scripture says, how it applies, and how I'm doing my best to apply that into my real world life. And then I make a parallel of what's going on in her life with that same scripture. Because it's one thing that, again, I was like Francisco was talking about, I was raised on the flying house and the Superbook. That's all the Bible stories that I know inside and out. And I know, Dean, I saw you posted on here that I don't know, I'm hesitant about getting this. There's a new game that came out called I Am Jesus Christ, and it talks about the entire story of Jesus's life as a game. I got different opinions on that from just a review standpoint, but I think it's an interesting concept. But I think one thing that kind of like for me, when it goes back to how do we get more of the younger generation, and everybody has said it, we got to be authentic. We actually have to do a parallel of not just talking about some sweet day when we get over in glory that we're going to worry about our fire insurance so that we don't bust hell wide open. I'm like, gas is at $5. My bills are like this. This is going on. I'm having a struggle here. I need to get some confidence and some clarity on how this scripture can help my life right now, what I'm going through right now, because the world is so loud that what the church is offering has to come at a calmer and a more, I don't want to say a louder, but a more confident voice so that it can drown out and suppress all the stuff that's going on, because it's so much life going on that life be life, and it's so much life going on that I'm like, some people just ain't got time for church. So we can't expect people to come to church based off how some of us grew up, that we come to church because I reverence church. Sometimes it's got to be like, hey, we got to meet people where they're at and handle their needs first, so that they're like, oh, you're not just trying to get something from me. You're just not trying to do tithes and stuff. You're not trying to do, like, it's kind of hard, because it was kind of like in the 7 last words that we had, somebody was also talking about it, that in scenarios when Jesus was dealing with people, he didn't throw scripture in people's faces the very first time they interacted with them. He met their needs. He took care of them. He showed care. So I think from a church standpoint, if all we're trying to do is getting people in the number, without, like people have said in the call so far, having a relationship, developing something there, I think that's what's missing. Like, nobody, if I come to your church and I'm lost in the number and I disappear and you don't even know that I'm gone for 6 months, I was like, why would anybody want to come back if that's the environment that you got there? I don't know. Any thoughts, any comments for everybody
Yeah,
online
so
in here?
what you were talking about is called value proposition. And basically what that is what value does your church bring me? And that's what people are looking for. What does your church, what can I get out of your church? We know you're going to preach the word. We know we're going to have some songs. We know we're going to have communion, but what else am I getting out of it? And, the goal is to move spectators to followers. How do I get folks from just spectating, showing up, being a consumer, to actually being a follower of Christ? So we have to do a better job in letting people know, what our ministry is about. A lot of ministries do it great, and people know what they're getting into. But a lot of times people are on the outside looking in, and it looks great, but then they get on the inside and look around, and they're like, "Oh my God, what did I sign up for?" So we got to do a better job at that. In shifting from isolation to relationships. You know, make sure we're all like, and I believe Brian talked about this, about relationships, being everybody in relationship. You know, if you're like, and I'm not going to talk about what we talked about, AJ, but I got a call from you. So we were talking, and in that moment that me and you were talking, I was empathizing with what you were going through, and I felt like you felt. And then on your high days, when you win, I win. So we had to get more into that instead of, well, I got to stay away from that person, because they always like the cartoon character on the Peanuts with the dragon, what is he? And dust is always behind him. He's always got dust behind him. And I don't want, I don't want to be dusty. But sometimes we have to be dusty to get that person up out of the dust. So value proposition is what people are looking for today. What value do you bring to me and my family that are coming to sign our names on the roll? And, is it sustainable, or is it just a bunch of nonsense?
Yeah, to your point, Pastor Rob, we have in our media ministry, we have a dedicated team chat, and I keep track of birthdays. So anytime it's someone's birthday, we send out a great message, happy birthday, blah, 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 blah. We try and, as AJ's mentioned before, we try and plan team events. So if you're part of the ministry, you're part of the family, at least in my eyes, as far as the media ministry. And we treat everyone the same. We might have disagreements. We may have points of discussion, but they know that I care. They know that the other co-lead cares. And they know that we're not going to put them in a bad situation to fail. And I think if you actually have those fundamentals, you should be good to go.
Completely agree. So now, Pastor Rob, you did say something earlier today in this call that I'm gonna lean on and intentionally exploit based off of what we just talked about. So with all the stuff that we talked about in this conversation of getting more people involved, doesn't that kind of lead into why the church needs to be doing some more branding? Because nobody's going to know nothing about you if you keep all this new stuff that you're doing inside the four walls. And the only way you know about it is if you're inside. So you're advertising to the people who are already here. So like today, there was the young adults did a Easter egg hunt and handed out candy and had photo ops and everything like that for the kids outside. And I broke out the drones. I took her out of retirement and we were flying around getting shots. And the idea is, because of some issues, you know, how do you turn lemons into lemonade? So the play that we had some audio issues. So what I'm going to do is branding. I'm going to take some excerpts to some high impact music of the Easter play, the music ministry, the sermon, the kids having fun, and do that as a highlight reel of a branding video of like, look, for a lack of better words, like, we're actually current. We're trying to do something. You're welcome here. We're it's not just your traditional lecture type of thing, and do something. Because I mean, I could sit here and complain like, oh, why ain't y'all get the audio right? Hey, let's deal with what we got. I can't go. I don't have a DeLorean. I'm not going 88 miles an hour, so I can go back in time and change everything. But what can we do with what we got? Leverage and start with what you got instead of complaining about what you don't have. Use what you got to amplify what you have so that you can get more. But they say, I saw somebody did a short a video, and I thought it was actually, I hate using this word, I thought it was very cute, because they were like, somebody was doing these little skits, which I really think churches should do. He was like, man, they came with a to-go box, and the skit was like, this was somebody coming back after Jesus multiplied the breads and fish. He's like, man, I got me a couple of to-go boxes from all this extra that Jesus done multiplied. Like, man, this the best fish fry that ever came from right here. And I'm like, you know, that was silly, but that was cool. Okay, I all right. We can have fun doing this stuff as well too. But let's see. Any other thoughts? If anybody here in the group, and I'm gonna jump over to see what some other folks are talking about here. On the,
So you exploiting my comment, which I like, and you've actually moved into a realm that churches frown on, and that's marketing. And what people don't understand, that you market your church whether you want to or not, whether it's good or bad or indifferent. Your church is being marketed. It's being marketed by what they see on the stream, whether it's Facebook or YouTube, Twitch, or wherever you're streaming. It's being marketed by the people that visit you and either come back or don't come back. It's being marketed by your current congregation, what they like and they don't like. Child, I wouldn't come here. I mean, I don't know why I'm still here, but you know, I would go somewhere else if I was you. So your church is being marketed. And what people don't realize, and I like what you did, because there's actually 4 P's in marketing. There's product, price, place, and promotion. You know, and you know, I'm an adjunct instructor, and I'm gonna be teaching church marketing in the fall at a Bible college to get this understanding out, because marketing is just not for the corporate world, it's for the church. Jesus marketed everywhere he go. And you say, well, how did Jesus market? Well, if you really look at it, he always talked about the Father, you know, and he was marketing the kingdom of God. You know, even John marketed the kingdom of God before Jesus came. You know, the kingdom of God is at hand. You know, Peter, repent and be baptized, every one of you. So there was constant marketing going on in the Bible, whether the person was marketing themselves about what they were doing or marketing the kingdom of God. So, you know, we all have the ability to market. Churches need to do it more and stop thinking that, oh, it's a sin. You know, they were saying, some churches say it's a sin to watch TV. You know, come on now. You know,
yeah,
really?
I was
So,
told it was a sin to bring a keyboard, an electric keyboard in there, because the devil comes in through electricity. I was like, oh, so we just not going to talk about the electric lights up in the ceiling? But
right.
I'm gonna bring up this comment that Creator for Fun said, and then I'm gonna respond to the same thing that I think about it as well too. So, she was saying that when I first introduced the NFC tags to the ministry, leadership kind of cringed, but after sitting in the pews and scanning the NFC themselves, they loved it and saw the influx of people using it. And I'm not gonna do my preacher moment, but I'm gonna probably use it right now. And I said, ain't it funny how humans have not changed? Every time in the Bible, when something new happened, what was people's first response? Fear. And they didn't want change. They didn't want anything. That's why it was always says fear not. And we're just repeating the exact same thing. New things that could happen that were talked about in the Bible, the first thing people did was fear it. We're doing it now, and it's the same answer, but they just change different ways. Oh, we can't do that. We don't have the money for it. We don't have that. I don't think it's important. Well, we didn't do that back in the day. They can color it whatever they want to. It's fear. Fear of losing control, fear of not knowing the expected outcome of something new is fear. And again, I just think one of those things, why knock all that stuff? And hold on a second. Hey, come here. Well, when you're done, come here and say hello. Sorry, I had my, hold on. Yeah, we're live, so say hello. No, they can't hear you. You got to say it into the microphone, please.
Hi.
You're saying to everybody in Zoom, and we're live on YouTube as well, too. Okay, bye.
Okay.
She's getting big.
Yeah, they said you're getting big. What, you hit your hand? Oh, your foot? All right. But let me see. Let's jump over to some other comments that people were saying. Sarah was saying she was saying, that is good to hear when the NFC stuff, I have been trying to implement those for almost a year. Finally got some, but they haven't put them out. And her next comment was, Pastor asked about it this weekend, told him we already have it. Hopefully we'll implement them. And again, I think one of the scary things about it, and I know this ain't biblical, but I know some other people have to say this. Sometimes I'm used to the point of I'll ask for forgiveness before I ask for permission, because if you have to ask for permission, that's going to give people every reason to say no, because most people don't want to. I'm messing with you, Pastor Rob. Most people don't want to get out the boat. They'd rather stay in there. And I'm comfortable here. I don't want to do nothing new. It's worked like this. Like, I literally had somebody say to me when I installed some cameras at a church, they're like, well, we don't need that. I didn't have that back in the day. It didn't exist. It didn't exist back then. So what do you mean? Like, give me a better way to say that you're just making up something just because you don't want to change. Ayana, Miss Phyllis said hello. Remember when we went up to the park? She said hello. Everybody said hello. Yeah, in this, and Tara also says, we have Tively, so it is included. We just have to pay for the NFC tags, and they have some pretty cheap. But I did speak to them. I need to bring that up. Because I know Pastor Paul is using Connect cards, and I think probably put some QR codes on that. And how easy would that be for people to? I ain't even gonna talk about the tech. We were talking about this to somebody else. Like, I don't know about see in Francisco with that food, but I think this is the thing that I don't understand. Just from the data processing background as me, I'm like, I don't understand why trustees would have an issue with online giving, because it's already counted, it's already indexed, it's already told who it's coming from. And then you also ain't got to sit back after church for 1 hour and count the money. And nobody has to put it in the duffel bag with their Glock under their church coat going to deposit it at the bank. So I understand the fear of change, but again, some of the stuff that's been put in place is making things very, very convenient. Unless you just love, just maybe a lot of people love counting the money like that because it makes it easy for them to slip something in their pocket. Maybe when they're counting it, it's like, you see that old cartoon when he's counting out money. He's like, one for you, one for me, two for you, one, two for me. And then I think Cody said, saying to create it for fun, I had some pushback with some of the older generation and had the same outcome when they tried it. It's always that people fear something new. Once they finally do it, then it's like, oh, I'll say it this way. I had some people hated me doing live streaming. They thought it was stupid. You should have come to church. You don't need to watch the live stream. And then that person had a triple bypass and they couldn't come to church. And then they watched it. Now you thought it was the greatest thing ever. It didn't matter until it affected them. And I think that's a horrible approach ministries do in that standpoint. Any comments outside of, well, I got a question. So Francisco, what type of sandwich is that?
Tuna fish.
See, I haven't had a good tuna fish sandwich in a long time.
My wife made this, man. My wife said, come on down. I'm about to finish the rest of it. Going back. I have 2 here. About to go back and finish it off.
See, I'm about ready to cook some more jambalaya here. That's what I'll probably do. Any other comments? What's standing out to y'all? So, yeah, because I could always pull something in a direction, but I really feel like, for me, where I feel right now is being the point person, point man, point woman, and being willing to be the first one out on the minefield. Because it's going to take that point person to go forge forward to be able to lead people in a place they haven't been before. Because if you don't have those daring people, everybody's going to be content to do everything. And I can say that, yes, we're all missionaries, but honestly, all of us are point men and point women. We're the ones that are pushing forward, doing something that most people are not going to do, because as we've already talked about in the last couple of comments, a lot of people are content to have pitched their tent and not move. They're content with, like, we're good. We don't need to do nothing else. Like, you're robbing yourself of the opportunity of being able to reach more. Like I had brought up, what was it, Mike? And it was not Justin. Why is his name escaping? I remember here in a second, where I brought it to their attention. Y'all remember a while ago, it was somebody in the group that they did a Easter egg hunt in Minecraft. I brought that to the youth and they're just like, oh, that's a great idea. Or like the same way that some of the ideas that we're talking about of Dean was talking about, I'm going to send over to the youth to maybe have a Bible study of going through the I am Jesus Christ, the video game. Because it is biblically accurate to the events that are going on in there. And it's like, okay, wow, this is in video game form. I mean, it's like, why not try it? I mean, all you can do is try it. If it don't work out, then okay, we know not to try this. We try it in a different direction. You know, we have to be willing and daring enough to step out to do new things. Like, I was just finished reading the story of what was it, Jonathan and his armor bearer, when he was like, hey, if I go down the mountain, if the Philistines say this, that you're going to means that we can take them and this, and, you know, it was just 2 of them, but they dared to do. And I think that's where we're at this. I'm at the point of wondering, when are we going to have that boldness to try something that we read in the Bible and they're like, oh man, they did that. But when are we going to be daring enough to do that? Or is it just that these are just stories in the Bible? Go ahead, Pastor Rob.
So, and I see where you're going possibly with this, when you're talking about people that just want to pitch their tents and say, hey, I'm good. Well, we have to realize that when the Israelites left Egypt, you know, it was almost 2 million people that left Egypt. But then before they got to the promised land, almost 1 million of them died off. So some people are going to be replaced by attrition. You know, and some people are going to be moved because they don't want to move the way God wants them to move. So, these people pitching their tents is great. But, I always say, I never want to be where God was. I always want to be where he is. And when God said move and time to get out of Egypt, that meant it's time to go. And we just still have a lot of people that, with Egyptian mentality, what's working for them, even though they're building bricks and mortar with their hands, counting money, with calculators and with the calculator.
Abacus. They counting it with the abacus.
Right. Hey, it works for me. Why do I need all this new stuff? Trying to move me out of my position? It's time to work smarter and not work harder.
Francisco, everybody on here on YouTube is saying you're making them hungry.
Put the sandwich down.
But yeah, but I really think like, I guess I'm sitting back as the more and more I'm reading through the Bible, and I would love for y'all to join us on our daily readings of the Bible. We're on day 97, so we've been going 97 days straight, which is very interesting because we get into some very unique names, and I'm sitting here doing multiple edits where y'all don't see me stuttering trying to pronounce some of these names. But I just sit back and I'm just looking over all of this stuff, and I'm just, it's interesting. I mean, like I said, it's like you learn something new every time when you read the Bible from beginning to end. You'll jump out stuff, and it's like, did they just sneak in a new verse and a new chapter? Because I don't ever recall remembering this when I read over it. But I remember somebody saying that most of the time when you read something, you read it once, you read it a second, you read it once to get somewhat of an understanding. The second time you read it, you get more of an understanding. The third time, you get more of an understanding of you when you're reading it. And a lot of times stuff don't jump out because you're not at the point where you're at that level of understanding where that is. So when you start talking about like, oh, the struggle of this and the golden fleece, is like, you might not be struggling. You might not need to get an answer. And it doesn't really resonate with you right now because you're in a different part of your life. And I really think that a lot of the stuff that's really jumping out to me is just like how much more we could do. And then our role of how what we're doing is so important that we need to gird ourselves up and protect ourselves, because some of the battles that we're fighting, whether we're dealing with people, finances, situation, health, whatever, it's not, and I hate hearing this statement because when people used to say it, used to bother me. It was like, everything that you're going through right now is meant to train you and build you up to where you getting ready to go, or where you have to be trained on this stuff. Like, you're not going to be able to be the head of a ministry and deal with multiple people unless you've had to deal with difficult people. That's what trains you on how to handle that, but I don't know. I don't want to be running off here. And Tara says she forgot to share her praise report. Let's jump over to that. We finally got the giveaway camera up. Awesome. Hoping to play with the AI features this summer when I'm off. Awesome. Well, Tara, I will tell you one thing. I do have another camera from Mako that I got to do a review on, and I'll just give y'all a little tease. The AI tracking in this one gives you an option to click on the person that you want the camera to continue to follow. I've been waiting for that feature for a minute. So the AI is getting a little bit better. So now that it knows that, hey, if you got multiple people, I want you to stay locked on this person than the other one. So we're going to be playing around with that some more.
Yeah, what's the model number on
that? That is. Oh, let's see. It is, where did they put it at? It is the K600N.
Cool.
So, I mean, really cool. Now, I do have one caveat to that stuff, that I already did the video, but I'm going to re-record it so I can give it better justice on that stuff. So most of the time I go into this stuff just a straight noob. I don't read the manual. I just go at it, and I was struggling with some other stuff, but I found The issue was with my joystick. So I'm going to call that out in that follow-up video when I do it. But I mean, so where do y'all see, are y'all planning out next year's Easter services? Like, I'll tell y'all, for me, what I've proposed to them. Now, I think that everybody did a good job in the Easter play. Because I just like Tara says, I hold myself at a higher standard, but at the same time, I need to stop pushing that standard off on other people, and give grace to that. But what I suggested to them to make it more palatable, make it easier, and at a higher production value is, instead of doing it live, shoot that whole Easter play a month early and record the entire thing using effects, using the cameras that we have to do everything. We can do AI backgrounds to make them actually in those locations, have better sound effects, do all this other stuff, and stream it as a short film the day before. That would be that way. So that way everybody in the church can see it, but then it's also something that is at a higher production quality, that it's going to give people more the potential to be able to learn these other skills that we've been talking about. And, say a kid is going to school and say, hey, I was a part of this. I was able to produce this at my church. And it's almost like a portfolio, a body of work for them as well, too. But then it just gives the opportunity of being able to be like, man, we can make shorts from this. We can do this. We can do that. That's what I'm proposing us do next year. But anybody got anything that they've learned or they're planning already, or is it still too fresh for y'all to start looking into next year?
So for me, it's a little bit raw because there's a lot of last minute preparations and concerns and things like that. But what you propose is what we did during, like, just after COVID, where we had people come in at specific times, do their part, they mess up, do it again, whatever. We actually had the background, and it worked out well. But I think it really depends on the leadership of the church and what their goals are, because let's be honest, most people, if they know their kids are going to be in a play, they're going to come to see them live. So some preachers like those numbers in the building, especially if they're motivated to come see their kid perform in a play.
Mm-hmm.
So you may get some pushback from leadership because they want the numbers of people that don't normally come to church to see their kid in a play, and they can preach to them while they're there. Versus having a pre-recorded video and there's no motivation because they can just watch it home.
Yeah. And I think that was kind of a thought that I had. And while I was at church, I had ChatGPT create a video script, and it was more, I'm sorry, Otis, I had the other screen up. Otis, go ahead and I'll say what I was going to say after that.
Go ahead, AJ. I'm interested in hearing what you say, and then I'll make my comment.
Yeah, I was saying what I was saying is at church, because now I remember this play. I think this is the same play Antioch has done a while ago. I remember it. I remember it mainly because of the sound effects, and it sounded familiar. So I think they expanded on it. But what I did is I asked ChatGPT to write a modern retelling of the crucifixion and do it in a format for a video script. So it gave me that list of actors and everything like that I'm like, okay, I can see this, trying to bring in multiple aspects to just show what can the media ministry really do. Like, not just cameras for service, but like use the lighting, the stuff that we've done in the podcast room to do all that stuff. So that's the main thing. But I say that kind of like what Brian was saying, that this was going to be not necessarily, it's almost like this is a direct to DVD version. So this is meant to not be the one that will be at a service, but almost like, if you really wanted to, a web series that you're doing a 7-minute version of each scene that leads up to Easter. I'm just thinking about a way that can create different content on different platforms that's not necessarily going to replace, but be able to enhance. So that was my thought. But go ahead, Otis.
Yeah, I try to work with my children's church ministry, and it seems like their production value is not like you say, where our production value would be. Like for instance, we have that stage area, and then we have, the floor area in front of the stage area. And it seemed like they always want to put the production down on the floor area rather than putting it on the stage area. And then when you get all the parents stand up in church, they blocking each other, chopping for position, the video of their child up there giving a speech or, in a play production. And I'm trying to get it to the point where let us shoot it. You can share the video out, and then, like you say, chop it up, make clips and everything else. But the production value, it seemed like they half-heartedly put it together, and it's just, and most of the congregation complain, even a lot of parents complain about it, but from a video and capture standpoint, I'm trying to get them elevated so that someone that's standing up, the kids are still higher than the parents and the spectators who are on the floor, and then that way we can capture it and give a better production to it. But it's just hard working with them to do it. Well, this particular young lady.
Awesome. Any other thoughts, comments? And a bunch of people online are saying that they made suggestions like that to their church as well too. So it looks like we got a lot of folks in alignment. Again, that's why I like the community. It reminds me when we do calls like this that we got kindred spirits and we're on the same wavelength on what we're trying to do, which is awesome. Like everybody right now, we're all collectively planning a trip up to the West House so we can get some food. So I think we're all excited about that. But I think I don't know. I just think that no matter what we do, no matter what you're at, even if you might not like what you're doing, it's better to keep having some type of forward motion. You might not get everything exactly the way you want to, but moving forward is better than standing still. I know you want to run, but maybe you can just walk. Maybe you want to just walk, but maybe all you can do is crawl. I mean, moving forward in any way. So just like with everybody else that it's like, hey, you may be trying to do the NFCs, the QR codes and all this other stuff, and they won't let you do it in the pews, but they'll let you put it in the program. They'll let you put it up on the screen during offering. Hey, that's some form of success. Keep pushing forward. That's all I can really do. Because, I mean, if you don't do it like that, then you just get depressed about that everything isn't working out. I mean, and that's really not going to get you anywhere. And just like George was saying, have to have a strong vision to carry that out. I mean, again, I don't believe in dissension. If you haven't done this, sit down with your leadership, sit down with your pastor, find out what their vision is, and then make sure that your vision complements that vision, And I think at least in the time right now that I'm helping out at Antioch, I make sure that what Pastor Paul's vision is, that I'm in alignment with what that happens. If it's from right now filling in for music, I make sure that the music, it does what it needs to do to complement what he's doing. When I'm pulled in to help with the media, I do the same thing. I don't want at any point in time that the music or the media, if Pastor Paul is saying, hey, I don't want any more songs after this, and it's like, well, no, we practice this. We're going to do that song. No. If Pastor Paul says, hey, or leadership is saying, hey, I need the announcements to be shorter, but I made this announcement and I want to get it through. Okay. If he says cut it, we cut it. I mean, at least that's how I roll. But any other comments, any thoughts, anybody online, any questions or anything that we can ask the group or vice versa? I do appreciate y'all being here, and I've asked it here on the poll. Please make sure that y'all hit that like button. It does help the YouTube algorithm to push this out to more people so that we can reach more people, because it's something very interesting that's going on with YouTube. I have been fluctuating. I don't know about anybody else if y'all have been looking at your numbers. My numbers have been fluctuating from 71,890 it will go up to 900 and then it drops right back down to 850. I've been in that zone for like the last 2 months. I have no idea what is going on with that. But anyway, I say all that to say, just like I said, some videos that are coming out next week is, folks, you might not like shorts, but the way YouTube is pushing it, they are promoting shorts on their homepage. Your stuff is not showing up. So this is your clarion call to start doing shorts. Go ahead and pay $10 for 1 month and just try out Opus Clips. And because, I mean, right now, the only people who are going to be coming to your channel who are going to be actively looking for your stuff, or you get on that shorts reel. They just lump all the shorts in together. So it's very easy for people to come listen to you. So if that's the way the market has changed, you kind of got to make that move. But any other comments, anything that's going on with everybody? Because if not, we can end this soon, and then I can go downstairs and make some food. Looking online here.
AJ,
All right. Yes.
you mentioned earlier about this new camera that you received that it was doing something with the AI tracking. I was in another room. I didn't quite.
Yeah, you don't want to know. I don't want to get you in trouble there, Francis.
Mm-hmm.
Well, this one, it has AI tracking, but this one now allows you to go in and say, click on the subject you want it to still follow. So if it's 2 people there, because sometimes whoever's moving the most, the camera would jump to this one. This one I haven't tested it yet, because when I was testing it, I was the only one here. My daughter wasn't here. This one allows you to say, keep following this person over the other ones. So I'm looking forward to that. Ooh, here's a good one. George wants to know, how do you help those who lack vision? The first thing I would say is be an example. You can't expect anybody to be able to understand that if they've never seen anybody who has vision and somebody is actually pressing forward. A lot of people are on autopilot. They just do the same stuff that they're doing over and over and over again, and they never even think. I always tell my daughter all the time, and she's right in the other room. I tell her all the time, I was like, baby, I need you to think, because the average person doesn't. It sets you up so much further if you just clearly think instead of being on autopilot all the time. But again, when it comes to a vision, it's very easy, because throughout the Bible, it ain't but so many people that they talk about. Because I mean, the nicest thing I can say from where I'm at right now is the reason those people are called out is because they're important, because they were significant to a vision, either somebody else's vision or the vision that God gave them for them to lead. Like right now, we're in David, with how David's vision was, okay, he was called to be a king, but he was still loyal and faithful to Saul. He was put in my hands multiple times. I cut off his robe. I took his spear. I took this. I could have killed him, but he was like, no, I'm not going to touch the anointed one, because he was out of alignment, but God still anointed him, and I'm going to let somebody else take care of him. I'm not going to be a part of that. So his vision was, I'm following God's plan, but I'm not going to deviate from that. Like, I'm not going to get my hands dirty in this. I mean, that was his vision, was like, I'm going to do what God's told me to do. At least that's how I interpret it. I'm not saying that's 100% right, but that's what I took out of it in my current level of reading. So I think from a vision is like, be an example of somebody who actually has a vision as well as knows how to follow one. And mainly a vision is, for me, the easiest term is being able to see something that's invisible and keep pursuing it until it becomes visible. I mean, just like with this YouTube channel, everybody said this was crazy. We are almost at 72,000. I saw it and nobody else did, but now it's here and we're keeping pursuing that. The mission of having ministries and all over the world that's unified under the same purpose of being missionaries, to share the message and share their knowledge with each other so we can all move forward. That didn't exist, but we're all a part of it right now. Anybody else got any thoughts on that? How do we help those who lack vision? Go ahead, Pastor Rob.
I would say for the person that put that in chat is Habakkuk 2:2 says it real plain. Write the vision and make it plain. A lot of times people can't get with the vision if they don't understand what the vision is. And then the mission behind the vision. And Habakkuk says it, write the vision, make it plain up on tablets, nothing that you just popped out of your head, and, oh, this is a good vision for the day, but make it plain, write it on tablets that men, for the one who reads it, may run with it. So a lot of times people just don't understand vision. Our church, our vision is real simple. I call it 3G, gather, give, and grow. It don't get any simpler than that. And you do it, you make it simple, and then you make it palatable, and it was taught that vision statements shouldn't be a paragraph because nobody's going to remember that. We went from United Parcel Service to UPS. We went from Federal Express to FedEx. We went from the United Postal Service to USPS. So we went from the crock pot to the microwave.
Look, we went from an international house of pancakes to IHOP.
See how everything's being shortened so people can consume more. And then when you have this big dissertation as your vision, people scratching their heads. And that might not be the case with this question, but my suggestion is, write it down, make it plain, so men can run with it. If they understand what the vision is and they understand that the mission is driving the vision, then sooner or later they'll get with it. And then some people don't even want no parts of it at all. As matter as how plain it is. They just don't want to get with the vision. Well, then that's when you'd have to just probably move on to the next person.
Get out the way. Awesome.
And I saw Elder West shaking his head. Did you want to add to that, sir?
Yes, I actually want to piggyback. I agree with everything that you just said, and you mentioned it at the end. That's the part I was going to pick up. There's some people that will have pride cataracts, control cataracts, and what I mean by that is that they refuse to accept the vision because of pride. They refuse because they refuse to accept the vision because of that means they're going to lose control. So that's why I just want to piggyback on that too, Pastor Rob, because again, there's some people that, and also this, not everybody's going to see what you see. Even it talks about that in 1 Corinthians chapter 12, are all eyes, do all see? So everybody's not going to see. And for visionaries, I know that that's the biggest issue. You don't see this, I may be not called to see that. That's your job to be called to see that. But my job is to help facilitate you, like AJ was saying, whatever my gifting may be. Let's say my gifting is, lifting the hand up, and you need someone to lift the cup up. Well, you put the cup in my hand and my hand can lift the cup up. So we're working together. So again, not everyone is going to see your vision. Not everyone's going to do, but those who do see or those who have interest, nurture them.
Completely agree. And I think that's the importance of this. Like the same example I was telling my daughter when we were driving, I said, and I try and, just like we started on this conversation, I try and break down and give my daughter real life examples in my life, in her life, on how to apply these principles. So I always tell her, I was like, hey, we're meant, the best relationships are ones that are complementing each other instead of competing with each other. And she was like, well, Daddy, what does that mean? I said, and I'm going to call him out in a good way. I said, like Monty. When I see that Monty does a video, I'm not in competition with him. So when somebody asked me about it, I was like, check out Monty's video, because I'm not trying to outdo Monty. And I don't believe he's trying to outdo me. I'm like, hey, he's skilled in this area. I'm skilled in this area. If you want to reach out, that's your guy. Go check him out. oh, well, AJ, do you know of a good church and this, and this, and blah, 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 in this area, blah, blah, blah. Hey, I know the West. You can talk to them. Well, AJ, don't you have one? Yeah, but I mean, that's not my skill set. They are. That's what this network is for. It's not about, can I get more people under my under my subscriber base? Yes, I can. It's not about that. It's like, if I can offer you something that will move you forward from here, that's great. And when you go to the next state, it's about us building each other up so we can always get here. It's not about me building up my humongous pagoda or my pyramid unto my awesomeness of AJ the CEO. It's not about that. My mission, my vision is, my vision has always been a long time ago, is to help 10,000 to 100,000 ministries reach 100,000 people every Sunday. And I've said it in different ways. Yes, I'm excited about getting to 100,000 subscribers, 1 million subscribers, but I'm more excited about me getting a million subscribers, and each one of those subscribers is reaching 1 million. That's my vision. To compliment. But, I think I don't spend time trying to be like, look, I'm going to keep everybody to myself. If there's anybody in the team, like I had somebody reach out saying, hey, I want to build this computer. Hey, that's great. I can do it. But there's somebody closer to you named Anthony who can do that. Go ahead, Francisco.
All right, to piggyback off of what you were saying about as far as, collaborating in team, I'm going to name some names. You, of course, Brian Jones, Dominic, and Pastor Rob. These guys, for those of you watching on YouTube, these guys helped us with our conference each year in certain ways. I remember Dominic always comes through and help us out with videos. My wife always said, Dominic, I'm stuck. I don't know. I don't know what to do with this. And as busy as he is, he always makes a way out to help us out. Brian Jones has helped us out through the years, especially with AI and various things that we needed, and Pastor Rob as well. And so, again, it takes a team collaboration because we don't have a big staff. We don't have, I wish we had a big budget, but we don't have that. But we're just a husband and wife team in conjunction with the body of Christ trying to do an impact for the kingdom of God. Oh, and Brother Mike, he's not on here.
Yep, like Pharaoh was going to say.
Yeah, I was about to say, he's not here, but Mike has been with us from day one. And let me say this too. And for our first conference that we had, it was, my wife was pregnant. I'm doing all the tech behind the scenes stuff. And there was so many people coming in there. It was through Zoom. I was getting overwhelmed. Like, man, I couldn't keep up. And I just asked Mike, who I've met on this platform. I said, Mike, hey, man, can you help me out? He's like, sure, what do you need? And I said, can you just let the people in and you control the Zoom, be the Zoom admin. He took that on. He was there every night with us. Now it's going on 6 years later. Same thing. Every time it's for the conference, and he always says this word. Okay, we are going to do this. It's our conference. And he buys it in. He bought in because, again, this is about doing the kingdom work. Pastor Rob, when we had our conference, he put us on his platform. He introduced us to someone else. And that gentleman put us on his platform. Again, talking about doing kingdom work. Of course, Dominic, with the videos, my wife would always like, Dominic, my brother. And he's like, okay, what do you want? They always joke around. What do you want? Nah, I can't do it. I got to see. But hour later or next day, boom, it's here. So again, it's talking about collaboration with the body of Christ. And I just want to encourage everyone that's that is new, especially those on YouTube. God will, sometimes we expect certain things that we're looking for help in one place, but God may say, look, I'm going to shut that down because I'm going to show you how big I am. And like with our case, I have never met Mike in person. Mike lives in Canada, but he's been doing ministry work with us for the last 7 years. Never met them. I met Brother AJ and Pastor Rob. Never met Dominic in person. Never met Brother Brian Jones in person. But these guys, these individuals has helped us. And for some of you, I just want to encourage those of you in leadership that maybe your local people don't have the vision. Maybe they're the ones not willing to help you. But you may have someone over in France that says, you know what, I'll be more than happy to get along there with you and do this. I'm a living witness of that. And for those of you, when we try to do our conference hybrid, some of you guys have been there in person, where it was kind of discouraging because we was expecting this big massive amount of people, and only 20 people showed up. And it can be discouraging, it can be frustrating, and we took a hit financially on that. Boy, did we take it on that. But we didn't quit. We didn't quit, even though it may felt like quitting. But then every year, God always shows us you're looking at these people here before you, but I got people that you don't even know of that's willing to come in and step up and to help you and to support you. And we got people literally around the world that we have never met that's helped us. So again, I want to encourage those of you, and let me also say this I hope you don't mind, AJ.
Yeah.
Let me speak directly to the pastors that may be watching this in leadership. And you may think, well, I'm trying this, I don't have any help. God always has a ram in the bush. When he told Abraham, I want you to go sacrifice your son. When Abraham started walking up that side of the mountain, a ram was coming up on the other side. So you may not have the help that you want right then and there. It may be someone in this group from a different nation than yours that's willing to help you. I can testify to that. So I just want to encourage you, don't put your limits on God. Don't always expect us for no more, because God may have the 5, 6, 7, 8 from a whole different nation from you. So I just want to encourage you.
Awesome. Yeah. Thank you very much for that. All right, folks. I mean, again, we give you, I don't want to say this is the PG version of our roundtable. Again, not saying that we talk about anything bad, but I mean, our roundtable is whatever we talk about when it's in private, it is private. It is a trusted group. We've talked about, personal issues where we've come together, pray over it, get people through, and know that there's shoulders that can be leaned on and everything like that. And now, again, I'm going to do this. He's not here, but I will call this out and want to give a special happy birthday to Brandon Lewis. Today's his birthday. He was just had his I was getting ready to say indoctrinated. That's not the right word, but he had his ordination service last week. So again, want to give a big shout out to him. I told him, I posted him on Facebook. I said, happy birthday to Pastor Bishop Reverend Adjunct Brandon Lewis, Esquire, and all that other stuff. So again, these are connections with, again, people we haven't met, just like Francisco. I'll say it's a bunch of people on here I've never met in person. But again, the fact that we can talk, we kindred spirits, that's the best thing I can say about it. And again, that's what this group is about. This group isn't about like just trying to, boost up this. We don't do like for like and share for share and sub for sub and none of that stuff. We don't do none of that. But Pastor Rob, go ahead.
I was going to say also, in the spirit of what Elder West is talking, we lay our titles down at the door. Elder Pastor Rob, Elder and Apostle West, we are all one kindred spirit. If we can help in a certain area, we will serve in that area. And we're all servants. But, for those that are watching on YouTube, yeah, you've got pastors up here. You might have some pastors on YouTube watching. But you know what? When it comes down to getting the work done, Paul said there is no difference. My God. And that's how we look at Pastor West is laughing. He's like, oh, there you go. But that's what Paul said. Oh, I just called you pastor too. So that might have been, the Shana in me. But, there is no difference. And that's how we look at it. We're all in this together. We're trying to push the kingdom forward. We're trying to move the Great Commission. I mean, and this is about relationships that have been birthed out of this. AJ and I are a 2 hour and a half away from him. Been to see him a couple of times. Been with the West. Went and supported Dominique. In the things that he was doing. So we do this because iron sharpens iron, and that's what we do. So for those that are watching, we lay our titles down at the door, and we all get our hands dirty together.
And in that vein, since I'm already here, and because I was like, it was somebody else. I haven't seen him on here, but he was him and his wife and his son were in our last conference. Pastor Thompson, from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, He has celebrated a birthday as well too, a couple of days ago. So I want to give him a big shout out. Happy birthday to you there, Pastor Thompson. Again, folks, this is what we do every other week. So obviously we're not going to be here next Sunday. We'll be here the following Sunday. It'll be closed door where if you're a part of the Facebook group, go to Facebook, look up Modern Media Ministry Made Easy, answer the 3 questions. You were in like Flynn and you were there. All the information is to join here on Zoom. And would love to have you there because we talk about a bunch of other stuff. So the conversations are off the cuff. They're not planned. Whatever we talk about, that's what we do. Hey, look, creative for fun. I feel the same way. I just don't even talk about it. We serve whatever purpose that we need to, but we go from there. Let me wait a minute. Cody was saying, let me bring this one up here and we'll finish out with this last comment. Cody was saying, I'm getting a little whiplash from nodding my head yes so much for the last couple of talking points. Well, I mean, I think it's refreshing when you actually are dealing with people and they know the struggles that you're going through, you're doing the stuff, and they have the same purpose. That's what it's all about. So, folks, I really appreciate it. Be on the lookout. We have our Q&A this Friday coming up. And like I said, another roundtable is going to be a closed door. All that information is on the Facebook group. Love to see you there. That will be not next Sunday, but the following Sunday after that. Again, appreciate y'all. I hope y'all have a great day, evening, afternoon, wherever you are. For the people watching the replay, all the ones that are here, just join us. Thank you so much for that time, because I know time is the one thing that we have that we can never get back. So I thank you and value and appreciate the fact that you decided to spend some time here. I hope that it was worth the investment and you got something out of there that will encourage you to move forward. Appreciate it. Dominic, I need you to get back on there and finish Breath of the Wild for the 21st time for that.
I'm going to watch 10 Commandments on tonight, bro.
Hey, because that way I can ask you some questions when I actually just start to get into it and stuff like that. But
yeah, just let me know, man.
All right, I got you. I'm supposed to be back there in the area doing. I got a couple of Gloucester installs. I'm just waiting to hear about. They're supposed to be in that area. But anyway, folks, we were seeing y'all, and thank you so much. We'll be seeing y'all on the next one. Later.
Bye, everyone. Good night.
Night, everybody.
Night.
Good night.